through the uncertainty of a new administration in Washington. As I said, we've done this before. We've been through this. And
isn't necessarily the best place to start. In fact, I think our reverence for the truth might have become a bit of a distraction. That is
you condemn white supremacy. And he fuddled around, didn't say anything. I said, how about the Proud Boys? And he said, well,
Ronald Reagan was 2 months into his presidency when John Hinckley Jr. blew a $20 million.
About blowing up the White House.
If you want to really see something that said, take a look what happened.
I want to take this message to talk to your viewers real quick about the story that the conversation we need to have now. The BOP is wasting lots of tax dollars in frivolous spending, and
Ladies and gentlemen, and we are live. Thank you for tuning in to The American Rising. I am your host, Barry Ramey. You know, I felt inclined to take to the airwaves of the X world and talk to you about something that's on my mind with a lot of things that are saying in the news. It has gotten to the point with these so-called conspiracy theories. And look, I'm not a conspiratorial person. And quite frankly, I've witnessed a lot of conspiracies come true, and a lot that have not. But it's gotten to the point where you see the American people are paying so much more attention to the bullshit in the mainstream media that certain things just they're not surprising. We've seen them coming from a mile away, and as unfortunate and also as a blessing from God, the situation with our president, Donald Trump, surviving the assassination attempt, and unfortunately a innocent young, man, Corey, that was murdered. We knew it was coming. We watched them throw the sham trials at him and try to trip him up in fake cases, and we seen the judges collaborate with the DOJ, and we knew the next step was the Kennedy effect. We knew it. We saw it. And I know that I'm preaching to the choir here, but it's gotten to the point where they're so predictable that we see their bullshit coming from a mile away. And I'm concerned for the America First agenda that I am unequivocally, staunchly for. I believe that we might not, that a likely possibility is lurking in our horizon. And I'm afraid that we might drop the ball and miss it because we're so excited, rightfully so, of the results of November 5th. And I'm afraid that we're not looking down the field. Now, here's what I mean. I'm still willing. I still support Kash Patel. I think him and Bongino have a very tough job digging themselves out of the ground and starting from behind. I'm going to give them more time. And I do respect them. But we would be naive to believe that these nefarious cliques and whatever the fuck they are that exist within the Federal Bureau of Investigation, we would be naive to believe that they just all of a sudden disintegrated and don't exist anymore because we have an adult back in the White House. And I think that if you had people in the intelligence agencies, which we know we do, from the Hunter Biden laptop suppression to all the things that we've seen them involved in with before Elon took over X, these clicks are still there. And let me put myself in their shoes. And if I were them for a second, looking down the field for them, I would be in a slight sense of panic. Our media apparatuses didn't work. Everything we slung at Donald Trump in the news about being Hitler and a Nazi and all his constituents and supporters being terrible pizza, none of it worked. None of it worked. People showed up in mass on November 5th and they voted for Donald Trump. So now I'm in panic mode. But I have a unique opportunity, one that, being very intelligent, I see. And I want to destroy Donald Trump. I want to destroy his supporters. And I want to destroy the idea and notion of them ever being comfortable in the future of doing this again. We tried that on January 6th and we utterly failed. So what I would want to do now is what I've already have a hand in experience and have done before. We all watched in 2020 what happened. Call them whatever you want. The fentanyl Floyd riots, they were a travesty to this nation. They were an embarrassment to this nation. And we all know who was culpable. And I think it was a double layer pie there when it comes to culpability. We had the street animals and the street commies out there destroying America, burning American flags, tearing our nation down to the ground. And then you had the intelligence agents and apparatuses working behind it, funneled by what I firmly believe to be Soros money. But I digress. So we watched this happen across the nation. We've seen it go down. And so me as the intelligence person, I'm looking now and I'm seeing this shit. And I'm thinking, okay, well, it worked really well as far as distraction from Trump's agenda. We can create a narrative around him in America and get people to burn the country down. Why don't we do this again? But this time, let's blame it on MAGA. And that's what I fear is going on. And then what I would seek to do is I would try to find a predominant MAGA person or some kind of individual that I believed was, people listened to or had a powerful voice or was able to make a big show and do something really stupid. Maybe this person was in my pocket. Maybe this person had some other things going on in their, life several years back and got introduced to me, the FBI guy, and I had them in my pocket. And I create this false flag scene. And I create this narrative around them, and I get them out there in the streets of America to do dumb shit and rally people up and create racial divide, and all while wearing a fucking MAGA hat. Well, I would be able to do what America is already on the verge of doing. Thank you, fucking Obama, which is, dividing even further on racial lines. And this is what I believe is in our near future. Again, I am not a conspiratorial person. If we want to use the prime example, I think Alex Jones has been wrong on a few things. I also think Alex Jones has been right on a lot of things, but I don't surround myself as an InfoWars only, news person, but I definitely don't hate. I don't consider everything Alex Jones talks about as a fucking conspiracy either. But nonetheless, I like facts. I like facts in everything I see and hear. And so that's definitely things I want to speak about. So this is clearly my speculation. But I think we would be dropping the ball if we just pretended like this fucking machine that exists in our government, this swamp that Trump is trying to drain, is not actively planning and plotting their next move against the guy in the fucking drain with the plug chain in his hand, about to pull it up and watch all those son of a bitches go down. No. And I don't think that they can resort to what I believe personally try to resort to at Butner, PA, because I think that that not being in the realms of control, something like that is going to be a lot harder to pull off. Thank God. But what I do believe them doing is trying to make a George Floyd 2.0 somewhere around midterms, where they use somebody disguised as MAGA to create a situation here on American soil where Americans are fighting amongst themselves, and they're able to swoop back in and put their fucking dirty little commie claws back in our intelligence agencies and cause the midterms and possibly cause a future for MAGA to go down the fucking drain instead of them. So I would like to say that I would be very wary. Be very wary of people that look like you, think like you, been through the same things you have been through. That seem like they have a message of division, of conquer, divide. Start to pay attention, as you have been, at everything going forward that that you see when it comes to MAGA and shit in the news, because I have a firm belief that we are amongst some dark times before these midterms, because both sides of the political spectrum have to win these midterms. If you think Hakeem Jeffries becoming the Speaker of the House and the Democrats winning control of the House is not enough alone to end the very fragile plateau that MAGA and America First agenda is walking on, it's enough. It's enough. We've seen what they do. Their impeachment scams. I mean, they're already drafting the fucking paperwork. And we all know that historically conservatives have a historical notion of not showing up to primaries, not showing up to midterms, and this is how we get stuck with these James Lankfords, these fucking McConnells, and these Lindsey Grahams. This is how we get stuck with them, because conservatives on primary day, they're too busy watching the fucking 400th Yankee fucking game of the year and can't get their lazy asses up while cat bait fucking Karen with green hair and 22 lip rings and fucking 44 cats and 4 litter boxes throughout the home gets up at 4 a.m. in a hailstorm during a fucking tornado to go vote for Marxist fucking Mandy, who wants to teach, her passion in life is being able to teach kindergartens transgender studies. So they have the passion on their side, and we know they're morally and spiritually, culturally misguided, and yet we will sit home and watch a Yankees game because that's more important on primary. Well, both sides need to win this. And so what I see happening here is this giant political, spiritual, cultural tug-of-war that, like, on the likes of we've never seen. And I'm not a doom and gloom kind of person, but I do believe that they're not going to go as far as they went trying to damage Donald Trump, his MAGA America First movement, his constituents, him himself, tried to unalive the man just to give up now, just to let him be successful. No, not a chance in fucking hell. And I refuse to sit here and believe it and put my guard down going forward. And we are dealing with some pretty intelligent people, even though the intelligence community here in America has become something in and of itself. But this is something I hope that we, the people, are paying attention to, and we're able to block and tackle and stop it and call it out when we see it. I mean, I go back to that moment where Ray Epps was standing the day before outside the Capitol telling everyone to go into the Capitol, and an individual was saying, Fed, 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 Fed. Going back to January 5th, knowing what we know now, we wish we would have listened and would have really made a difference. But you see what I'm saying? We have so much knowledge that we've learned since Donald Trump's first administration in 2016 coming down that escalator. I think we've come to a point where we're tired of doubting ourselves. I wish no ill will on anybody. I am concerned. And I think that if we excuse me, take the time to think of the past to make sure we don't repeat the future, the better for all of us. Again, I believe the next move that the intelligence community is going to play out is using somebody that appears to be a member of the MAGA community to cause a situation that is blamed on the MAGA community to discredit Donald Trump and his America First agenda, both now, going forth, and continuation in the future. I believe that plan is going to be played out before the midterms. And I'm encouraging my fellow American citizens to keep their eyes open and be very wary of people that are clearly trying to divide this country and hide under a MAGA hat while they do it. Now, I don't have any individuals in mind. Shit, you probably know one more than I do. But I'm encouraging people to think about this for a second and simply just consider it, because there's no way they're going to stop now, and they've been a little bit too fucking quiet. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to depart and close this little segment of my rant out. Thank you for tuning in. Our page is new. Please get down there and follow us. The American Rise on X, all of our platforms at American Rising. We're a new show here on the War Boys studio, and we're not going to shut up or be silent. And we love this country very much, and we prove that every day, every time we get on here and care enough to speak up and speak out. And all of you, I encourage to do that, because millions of whispers make a fucking mighty war. Welcome to the American Rise, and thanks for tuning in. Follow us, X, the American Rise, right now. Cheers, ladies and gentlemen. Keep your eyes open.
We will get through the uncertainty of a new administration in Washington. As I said, we've done this before. We've been through this. And
isn't necessarily the best place to start. In fact, I think our reverence for the truth might have become a bit of a distraction that is
You condemn white supremacy. And he fuddled around, didn't say anything. I said, how about the Proud Boys? And he said, well,
Ronald Reagan was 2 months into his presidency when John Hinckley Jr. blew a $20 million.
About blowing up the White House.
If you want to really see something that said, take a look what happened